Good morning. My name is Corina Ene. I am with the Office of Federal Programs at the State Department of Education. On behalf of Superintendent Hofmeister, I would like to welcome you to the Comprehensive Needs Assessment, or CNA, in school-wide schools. What is the Comprehensive Needs Assessment, or the CNA? It is a tool that is used to assess the performance levels and identify the needs in a school. It determines the root causes of the achievements and the lack thereof. It sets priorities to be addressed. It will plan for improvement and budget to support the improvement, and it also supports schools' vision and mission in order to increase student achievement. A comprehensive needs assessment should identify performance challenges that encompass or make connections to the purposes of all ESSA programs, especially when federal funds are requested to be used for proposed expenditures. There must be a demonstrated need for these expenditures identified in the Comprehensive Needs Assessment. First, school data is collected, is sorted, and analyzed using the Comprehensive Needs Assessment tool. Recently, the Office of Federal Programs has posted hopefully a useful tool, Comprehensive Needs Assessment tool, that schools can use to collect the data and create the analysis around the data. So after the data was collected using that tool or a tool that was already developed by the school itself, then the results of the Comprehensive Needs Assessment are described in Section 2 of the Schoolwide Plan. To write a strong narrative in Section 2 of the Schoolwide Plan, describe the results of the CNA by answering questions such as: was a variety of data collection used? What data was collected and what trends did the data indicate? Was performance and non-performance data collected by subgroups? Which subgroups reached achievement levels and which ones did not? Were strengths and needs of improvement being identified for students, teachers, school, and community? And what are they? What are these strengths? Were any high need priorities identified to be addressed in the upcoming school year? Who determined the priorities? What strategies and funding sources will be used to address these priorities? Is the number of priorities to be addressed feasible in such way that it will produce positive outcomes? Is there any evidence that the outcomes for all students, particularly those most at risk, have improved? Has the school-wide plan worked, or other strategies need to be identified for schools' continuous improvement? Data collection. In order to meet the Oklahoma State Department of Education expectations, the narrative in Section 2 of the Schoolwide Plan must describe the data sources used in the process, indicate the use of a variety of sources from which the data was collected in the Comprehensive Needs Assessment tool, such as student performance data, student non-performance, faculty and staff data, school and community data. And also, you should not limit the data collection to one or two sources of data, but instead include all of the above sources that will provide a comprehensive picture of the student achievement. Regarding student subgroups, in order to meet the OSDE expectations, the narrative in Section 2 of the Schoolwide Plan must include all student subgroups identified in Section 11C2 of ESSA, which are the economically disadvantaged students, students from major racial and ethnic group, children with disabilities, and English learners that are represented in the school. You should not pick and choose a few subgroups of students to be included in the data collection. You should include a detailed analysis of performance and non-performance data for each student subgroup. And you should not omit the student performance or the non-performance data so that the analysis is inclusive of all aspects of student achievement. Also, in order to meet the OSDE expectations, the narrative in Section 2 of the Schoolwide Plan must examine student, teacher, school, and community strengths and needs, and should not overlook any of these subgroups. So all the factors that contribute to the success or failure of the school can be identified and properly addressed. You should address the highest priorities in the school, and in order to meet OSDE's expectations, the narrative in section 2 of the school-wide plan must also identify the priorities that resulted from the CNA analysis, must not reflect a closed-door decision of the school leadership about what constitutes a high priority or not, must indicate a strong collaboration among school leadership, families, and community stakeholders in the identification of the highest priorities, must identify a manageable number of priorities at the highest level of magnitude and align with the needs assessment for school improvement, must avoid taking on too many or too few priorities and avoid choosing priorities that may not be at the right level of magnitude to produce positive measurable results. What is a manageable number of priorities? Keep in mind that addressing all the unmet needs is rarely feasible. It is necessary to identify the needs that are of the highest priority. Identify urgent needs versus important needs. Address what carries the highest value to your school, the most urgent needs. Know the cutoff point. Be realistic about what can be feasibly accomplished. Then focus on those high priority needs that can be handled based on the human capital and the financial resources that are available in your school. What is the right level of magnitude to produce positive, measurable results? Determining high priorities help direct resources to the programs that matter the most. You must identify the available resources, human as well as capital resources, and determine what their best uses are to directly contribute to the improvement of student achievement. Then focus the resources as much as or as little as is needed to produce positive, measurable results. You'll have to find the balance between the results intended and the resources available. The evidence of improvement of outcomes for all students. In order to meet the OSDE expectations, the narrative in section 2 of the school-wide plan must indicate evidence that the school's Title I school-wide plan and cycle of continuous improvement have improved outcomes for all students, particularly those most at risk. The plan must avoid providing a broad description of how student achievement has improved in general and focused on how most at-risk students are provided the needed support and interventions, as well as the results of their improvement. After the narrative in section 2 of the school-wide plan was finalized, then take input from the stakeholders, and if no adjustments are needed, move on to the next section. Here are some helpful hints for completing the plan as PDF document. You must use Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is a free app, or Acrobat Pro, which requires a license to be purchased. You must type the responses directly into the PDF form in the designated text box. When typing on the form, the text box does not change, and one must continue scrolling down to complete the responses. You cannot paste into or attach graphs and charts to the form. You may upload graphs and charts in the grants management system in addition to this template. However, the graphs and charts should be converted to PDF. If you have any questions about this PowerPoint or in general about this section of the school-wide plan, you can email me directly at the email address on the screen, or You can email or call Debbie Pham, the program specialist coordinator of the Schoolwide and Targeted Assistance Programs. Then again, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. And until next module, I would like to thank you for participating in this webinar. Thank you.